Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and I'm not going to lie. This one is a very, very odd and disturbing story that I ran across, and then I heard another headline, so I didn't follow up on it until someone sent me an interesting thread. And I'll be quite honest, I'm not sure if I've ever been on this podcast, but we ended up following each other. He was following me, I was following him. And essentially, it was a story about how 3 people had been found, a family, drowned in a pool. Now, when you hear that alone, it seems very odd. But then the sub-story I saw a couple days later was they were electrocuted. That turns out not to be the case. You would think that's really the only way that it would have been possible for 3 people to drown in an above-ground pool. And this is a really tragic incident. You had a 62-year-old, then you had his daughter-in-law, who was 32, and then an 8-year-old child, an 8-year-old daughter. Very, very scary stuff. What's scarier yet is now it's just being ruled that all 3 of them drowned and didn't know how to swim. And that just doesn't pass the smell test, doesn't pass the mustard. So we're going to show you where you can get more information than I'm even going to be going into in this video. And we're going to show you who this 62-year-old was, Bharat, I'm probably butchering it, Patel. And he has some very, very interesting and let's just say deep connections to some important people. So before we get going, I want to remind everybody, thumbs this up, subscribe, share. We are fully demonetized on this channel. I'm doing it with your help, $5, $10, $15. It means the world to me. And guys, I just want to say this. I've been talking about Bill Gates. I've been talking about foundations, not just the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, but foundations in general, and how these supposed philanthropic organizations are anything but. So I first came across this story, okay, by way of, again, seeing it, and then what we're about to go over from a guy named Tommy G. Now, I would assume some of you guys are probably pretty familiar, has a pretty large following on Twitter. There is a video thread here where he claims to be extremely drunk, where he takes this man, and I believe correctly identifies him on LinkedIn, then shows you his connections to not only the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which we're going to get into in a minute, but he shows you connections to possibly the Clinton Foundation. He even brings up a bit of Tom Steyer and his brothers, but we're not going to cover that stuff. So first of all, I want to explain to people why this didn't catch my attention, because at the time, this is what they were promoting.
Happen? Did they all drown? How is that even possible?
Exactly.
Now there's growing speculation that the victims may have been electrocuted while in the water, enjoying a warm summer day in the backyard. This electrician's van was reportedly called to the house after the incident.
So they're saying that there was an electrician's van after the incident. Maybe they were there to rule out the possibility that they had all drowned due to being electrocuted. But instead of focusing on the electrocution angle, what I want to do is start by showing you how nobody seems to be buying it, and some of the other details, how they had just moved here. This took place in East Brunswick, New Jersey. And if you look at this gentleman here, he's from Tacoma, Washington, this Bharat Patel. But if you see Next Gen, Fairleigh, later on you'll see other places, such as Pune University. I'm probably butchering that as well. Where is it? Let's see. There it is, University of Pune. And there is a previous account here, which I think we're going to really need to get into because it reveals some other interesting things other than being a Next Gen. So let's go to this news story here and see what the neighbors had to say.
In East Brunswick with more on this. Jessica? Well, Christine, the family only moved into this house behind me about a month ago. Barely enough time to get to know the neighbors, but it was a next door neighbor who heard the mother outside screaming for help, so she called 911.
So let's stop. First things first. I want to hear that 911 call, number one, okay? And number two, I want to hear from the person that made that 911 call what exactly she heard. Did she hear, help, I'm being attacked? Help, they're both dead? I mean, what exactly did this person hear?
And when police arrived, they came to find 2 adults and that child dead in the swimming pool. A man clearly overcome with pain and emotion is consoled outside a home on Clearview Road in East Brunswick, a home that was surrounded by police, ambulances, and new neighbors late into the evening Monday.
It's just terrible.
Chopper 2 shows the large above-ground swimming pool in the backyard where 3 people were found dead. A 62-year-old man, an 8-year-old girl, and her 32-year-old mom.
Now let's stop it right here. It's an above-ground pool. Now there is some reporting that this above-ground pool, although it was 3 feet in most places, there was somewhere where it got as deep as 7 feet. Now any adult who's 5'10", like myself, reaches up, you could probably grab a ledge. And you could probably walk up if you were hitting the bottom. Again, very difficult for one person to drown in an above-ground pool. And it's very odd that you would get a home if you didn't know how to swim. And that's what they're reporting.
A neighbor heard screaming and dialed 911. All the deceased were taken out of the pool. CPR was done, and they were pronounced in the backyard.
But how they all died remains a mystery. Early word on the street was the members of this family neighbors were just getting to know somehow drowned.
It's above ground, it's not in ground. So I don't know how this happened.
3 people drowning in a pool seems very unusual.
But then an electrician showed up, raising more questions that the 3 were electrocuted.
The fact that they had an electrician's truck show up shortly thereafter, I mean, it wouldn't make sense that 3 people would just drown right away like that. If you got an adult there too.
No matter what, it's a tragedy that is.
So I want to stop it there. And I want to start talking about this gentleman right here. Bharat Patel. Again, Next Gen MD Health Incorporated. Okay? And this guy has a long, CEO. All right, he's the real deal. And when I'm talking about, you talk about Fusion Biopharma, CEO. All right? But what I really want to talk about right now is his education and show you how far back of a player this guy is. All right, when we get down to his education, when he was at Fairleigh Dickinson University, okay, and we're talking 88 to 1990, he patented voice biometric security software. Let that sink in. Forget about just biomedical and big pharma works with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. He's patenting voice biometric security software, okay? He's talking about a thesis on the role of generic pharmaceuticals in the healthcare system. All right? This guy goes deep and for a long, long time. So now you look and, again, Next Gen, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. All right? And yes, of course, they're not only involved in health, but in food, because that's what this is about. This is about total control of your lives. And I'm sorry, I think that obviously this is something we really do need to look at. What are the chances, again, that a guy like that drowns in a pool with his 8-year-old granddaughter and his daughter-in-law? And someone heard screaming beforehand. And it doesn't appear that they were electrocuted. I don't even really want to speculate on what may have happened there, but I will again encourage everybody that wants to take a deeper look, okay, a deeper look into this, to go check out Tommy G. And right now in the live chat, I'm going to put this thread, and you can check it out yourself. I'm going to reach out. I want to see if perhaps he wants to do a broadcast on this, because I think this is a really important piece of information worth investigating, guys. So thumbs this up, subscribe, share this one. Okay, share this one. This one deserves some sharing. And remember, I'm fully demonetized, $5, $10, $15. It means the world to me. It's how I support myself. It's how I continue to bring this news that you're not seeing in the national media, guys. That's kind of being obscured. They're telling you about in bits and pieces. Check out my latest videos on masking up with Joey B and Dick Cheney, the gangster class. Check out, oh, by the way, I mean, when we want to talk about this, we live in a cartoon where the DOJ has to confirm that face mask exemption cards are fake. That's the clown world we live in. That's the cartoon level. No kidding. Everybody saw this meme, and although it was making real points, nobody thought it was an actual government document, but that's where we're at, okay? 2020. Loose Change Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order to Find, and Shade the Motion Picture are free right here, right now. Remember to support me over on Rockfin and check me out on Minds as well. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the flip side.